Right, we're going to continue then on this particular issue. Then we are now joined by a political analyst and regular guest here on SABC News, Levy Ndou, who will weigh in on the latest developments with regards to the Phala Phala matter, with the DA planning more action and for the president to account. Mr. Ndou, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. What do you make of the DA approaching the FBI to probe whether or not the president is involved in money laundering? Is that too far a step? What do you think of it?
Well, the Democratic Alliance is the main opposition party in South Africa. And of course, in the midst of confusion, in the midst of anxiety, and in the midst of desperation, like we see now, you would find political parties behaving in the manner that they're behaving, like the Democratic Alliance. When you have a situation where the state president is implicated on serious allegations like this one, you would expect political parties like the DA, the EFF and the UDM wanting to probe and indeed wanting to ensure that the actual truth has to come out. Whether the DA has actually gone too far, it will be something that has to be determined at a later stage. But what I think every South African will want to know is as to whether indeed what these allegations have been brought forward are actually then tend to be the truth. And of course, they would love to see some form of action happening. It is not surprising at all.
Yeah, and the DA has stuck to its guns that they won't be like the parties you mentioned, UDM and EFF. They won't be calling for President Cyril Ramaphosa to step aside, which is a little bit surprising. And as you know, my colleague Kenny, when she was speaking to the leader John Steenhuisen, and one of the things she said is it seems that more grace has been given to President Cyril Ramaphosa, as was the case with former President Jacob Zuma. What do you make of this? What do you make of the DA saying, no, we're not asking we're not calling for the president to step aside at this time?
Similarly to the president, the Democratic Alliance appears to be a party of processes. And I think what they want to do is to ensure that they try to follow whatever processes that are available that will make the president indeed to be accountable. Of course, the president has indicated that he would love to allow the processes to unfold, and those are the legal processes. But equally, you also have got parliamentary processes that can still unfold, or government processes. He is the head of state. He is the head of government. And when there are these kind of allegations surrounding him, in the midst of him saying something, people will continue to speak, and this is the right opportunity for political parties to actually continue doing their work in ensuring that indeed there is accountability, there is transparency, and of course, those that occupy positions of authority should be seen to be accountable. And that is exactly what the Democratic Alliance is actually doing. What we don't know would be the response that might come from the president, because of course it appears as if it is quite clear that most people would want to hear his side of the story, and that appears not to going to happen in the near future.
Yeah, Mr. Ndou, we on another issue. Yesterday we awaited the final installment of the report into allegations of state capture. We later, of course, heard that this was to be postponed, and we'd hear more about it tomorrow. Some are reading, something sinister into this. Are you?
Well, the report should have been received long time ago. There has always been postponements after postponements. It started with the proceedings. It is now coming to the submission of these reports. There are also courts involved in the submission of this report. And similar to the story we're talking about, this raises confusion, it raises anxiety, because people will want to find out what are the main recommendations that are coming from the Commission. One now is not even sure if indeed we must still get this report by tomorrow, because if they've started with the postponement, it might lead to other new postponements. But in my view, Justice Zondo should actually do all of us a big favor, make sure that we get the report, because the whole of South Africa is actually waiting for this report, so that matters relating to corruption in South Africa are actually put at our back.
All right, Mr. Ndou, it was a pleasure. Thank you so very much for being with us this afternoon, as always.
You're always welcome.